Hello everybody and welcome to episode 9 of Planet FPL, the world where everything revolves around Fantasy Premier League. My name's Serge.
Have we actually started?
We have.
Oh, fuck, I'm James.
The Fantasy Football Show.
And we're back. Game week 4, international break. We got a nice little break.
As usual,
Manchild was just waving at me for the keys.
properly planned. Like I didn't even know we were starting.
Yeah, he hit record. I hit record.
Oh, fine.
We watched some games over the weekend. We've got our scores and we're happy to go.
All right, cool. Let's go then.
Let's start with me for a change.
All right.
61 points this week. Started out pretty bad, I'll be honest with you, because obviously the early kickoff I had no runners and riders in the Southampton-Manchester United game.
Like everybody else.
Yeah. Got to the end of the 3 o'clock games, and being in a football stadium, you know how bad reception is, so you get none of the results. Or if you manage to get the app up, or any of the apps, Sky Sports or whatever, you see the scores, but by the time you click in to try and get more information, it takes like a minute for the whole thing to load. I had no idea what was going on with any of the other games. Came out and saw that...
Hang on. Who the fuck is watching their team and looking at other scores?
No, at the end of the game, at half-time or whatever.
I don't even care.
Nah. Half-time I have a quick look. Got nothing else to do apart from... I'm not buying £5.30 hot dogs, mate. I had to buy one that weekend. That's how much it fucking cost. My son was moaning about being hungry. You see City 4-0. You're thinking, I must have some points there. You see Leicester have scored 3. Must have some points there. Obviously knew Pukki had blanked. I knew Haller had scored. And no Sterling returns, no Maddison returns, no Pukki returns, and Liverpool to follow. I was if Liverpool don't keep a clean sheet, this could end pretty bad. Ended up with a clean sheet for Liverpool in the assist, and then a Harry Kane goal. 61, above average. I rose from 977k to 907k overall. So I'm happy with that. Went up in most of the leagues that I'm in, apart from the Correspondence League, which just goes to show how banging that league is. But went up in most of my other leagues. And yeah, I'm happy with that overall.
I actually had a small red arrow this week. Like you, I seem to hit green arrows in everything bar the Correspondent League and the overall league. I finished on 67 minus 8 and absolutely delighted.
It could have been worse if you hadn't taken the minus 8.
Yes. Yeah, the minus 8 worked out immediately. Actually, 2 minutes into the Saturday 3 o'clock games, it had already worked out, basically. Yeah. So, yes, delighted. I sold Kyle Walker. Mm-hmm. I sold Martial, and I sold Lucas Moura. And I bought Luca Dean, Mason Mount, and Kevin De Bruyne. And it was worth a net 6 extra than what I'd have been on if I'd just left it.
But then you got to take out the minus 8, right?
No, I'm taking it out and saying, fine. I mean, De Bruyne's 13 points by himself, isn't he?
Yeah, sure.
And more, not so much just on this week to say, yeah, okay, it got me an extra 6 points, whoop, big deal. It's a forward scoring a goal. But I'm now in a position where I love my team.
Okay, nice.
I'm now into a position, rather than going into the international break and thinking, oh, God, how am I going to get De Bruyne in? I've done it. I like my team. I've admitted that I was stubborn on Luca Dean and got him in. And I'm really, really happy with it now. I feel like I've just wildcarded. Mm-hmm. And I've still got it.
I'm with you. I think your team's not bad now, actually. I think Pukki is not going to perform as well as he has in the next few weeks, but he's still an asset worth having and what have you. But yeah, overall, a good week. You know, there's always this debate. Do you take your hit score off your weekly points score? Should you take it off?
No, I think you'd say 67 minus 8.
Minus 8. Because
I think it tells the story, doesn't it?
If you look at the head-to-head league that we have, they actually do that. So they've got your score down as 59. Correct. Yeah. So that's the way they're doing it in the head-to-head league. So we're now tied on 6 points each in the head-to-head league, which I'm on top of just because of my 3-point advantage over you. Could have been more, yeah, had you not played your mini wildcard through hits. So well done for that.
Yeah, please, because the regular listeners will know as well, I'm not a hitter. Like, I really don't like doing it. And when you break it down, you go, I'm taking Kyle Walker out here. They're home to Brighton. Doesn't make sense. So, yeah, all right, Dean's got one less than Walker. Mount only got the same as effectively what Dendoncker would have got, because I'd have had him off the bench as Moura got no minutes. And then it's De Bruyne 13 minus Dale Stevens 2, basically. So really, really pleased. I after we recorded Friday morning, and I was just looking at sort of Mount for Moura, I came to the conclusion that Moura wasn't going to play, and how badly did I really want to keep Martial in on the other side, and I just wasn't convinced, and I felt like I was missing something. And obviously selling Martial and Moura opened up the doors to not just get Mount, who obviously didn't return this weekend and was the number one target for me, but it allowed me to get De Bruyne. And obviously to get De Bruyne in with Sterling and Zinchenko as well, I had to sacrifice Walker or Zinchenko. Easy choice to do on Kyle Walker, I think, because of the Cancelo threat. I was also worried.
Yeah, and the prices.
I was also worried, as I said to you, that I thought Cancelo might play. So I had that nagging in the back of my mind as well.
Any money left in the bank?
Yeah, about 0.2 or something, I think.
Just a little tickle.
Little scraps. And I'd probably, as long as I don't have any injuries during this break, I probably won't do anything, come back on the other side. Literally, if I was to make a transfer and I have no injuries, it would be to play around with value on my bench. I'm so happy with it.
Let's talk about some of the games, shall we? So, no clean sheets other than City, Liverpool, Palace and West Ham. So there wasn't a lot of defensive points to be had this week.
That's been a recurring theme of not many. VAR keep cancelling goals.
Yeah.
But there's a recurring theme that we're not seeing a lot of clean sheets at the moment.
And the ones outside of Liverpool and City, West Ham and Palace are definitely not at top of people's lists of where they would expect clean sheets to have come from. So, you know, it's good. I ended up with 5 clean sheets there from my defence because they're all City and Liverpool. So I'm happy with that. Well, I thought that might give me a differential. The game week average was 57. I'm on 61. So it's not really done me any favours. Maybe because my attacking returns just weren't there. A lot of people have De Bruyne.
At the moment, it feels like you can't defensively put any trust into the top 4 contenders, United, Spurs, Arsenal, Chelsea. And even to a certain extent, not even Leicester either, really. No. So you're either coming under, or you've still got to have your Liverpool City bits in there. I don't think there's anyone at the so-called other top 4 challengers that go, yeah, really, really want them in.
Yeah.
From Spurs, United, Chelsea, Arsenal, none.
Yeah. I'm in a similar position to you in that I'm quite happy with my team as well at the moment, if I'm honest with you. Other than bench, you can always do bits on the bench. If you look at like the defence, if it continues to get clean sheets from Liverpool and City's solid and stable, Zinchenko might be a risk. Sterling, Maddison again could have picked up an assist or a goal yesterday. Ceballos, when he came on, was a game changer for Arsenal. A game changer. It definitely upped the tempo, and you could see what quality he has. Pukki, Haller, and Kane. Like I don't know. I've got 1.1 in the bank. I don't know what I would do right now necessarily.
With Zinchenko, who's a concern for me as well on the other side as Mendy steps up his fitness. Laporte's injury has almost maybe solved the problem. There's one or two things you can do there. One, in the next couple of weeks, either an Otamendi or a Stones, I think is going to make themselves obvious. You just sit in there at 5.4 and go, yeah, that will do. That's staying there every week. And you'll take... Zinchenko's not going to get you many attacking returns anyway, so it's all right to go for the centre-half. Or you move it.
Yeah, I'll go to Luca Dean.
I mean, for me, all I've got to do is downgrade to a 4.5, and it's Kane for Aguero if I wanted to go that way. And then it's all the City power up front. The problem with that would be 3 City attackers against 3 Liverpool defenders in game week 12, but it's a while off yet.
Yeah, well, a free hit that week maybe.
No, can't be doing that.
No. Interesting week of fixtures as well. Some results that we would have expected, some that maybe we wouldn't have. I don't know if it's fair to say there are question marks around certain teams, but let's start from the top and then we'll address them one by one. Southampton 1, Manchester United 1. Everyone's laying into Manchester United at the moment. And this is closely followed in the next game, Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 2. Like everyone's concerned about Chelsea all of a sudden. With Leicester doing what they're doing, Everton seem to be doing well as well. I thought Everton played better than the 3-2 scoreline suggests yesterday, for sure. If we can get some momentum at West Ham, suddenly there's teams around it.
Why did you ruin it?
Well, I had a good friend who's a Tottenham fan who said the league table doesn't lie last week because you were above us on goal difference. I was like, there's a league table still not lie this week.
Yeah, the league table can definitely lie after 4 games. It won't lie after 38.
No, let's go back to Southampton, Man United. Is there problems at Man United?
Huge problems. If you take, obviously, what they were missing at the weekend is essentially Martial. I don't know, were they missing anyone else?
Not really. Smalling's gone on loan now.
Southampton started the game, I thought, really well first 10 minutes, really putting the press on. All the things that we like when Southampton play well from Hassan Hüttl's team, I think we were seeing early on. And essentially, the first time United got in advanced areas, Daniel James scored a great goal. Southampton's Achilles heel is they are shocking still defensively, and have got to shove him into a wide area. That's 2 in a week now where James has come in from the left-hand side and either smashed one or bent one as he did against Palace in game week 3 into that far top corner. Just a note on Daniel James, he's obviously proving very popular at the moment. I wouldn't put anybody off, but obviously those 2 goals in the last 2 weeks have come from the position on the left. Now, we think, obviously, if Martial is back for game week 5, he goes back up front, Rashford to the left and James back on the right. I don't see Rashford or Martial on the right. It just goes back to an age-old problem we've said for ages about United, about them being imbalanced and having too many players who can play in that sort of attacking left role. Because the 3 of them, really, that looks like their best position for all of them. Mm-hmm. And they're all going to be probably as part of United's first 11. His value, not a question. Wouldn't put anybody off going Daniel James, but I'd just be a little cautious of that. On United...
Just touching on Daniel James, at 8.6% ownership. It's not low.
I looked yesterday morning, it was 5%.
Wow, so 3% have dived in on him in that short time.
He would have had loads of transfers in, I'm sure.
6.1 million now. I don't know. For me... You're saying you never put anyone off. People make their own decisions. It's not a transfer that I would make.
All right, let me put it another way.
At 6.1, I wouldn't be looking at.
I think the jump up from, say, a McGinn or a Ceballos to Daniel James, I'd say it's probably worth it. You're saying where would you spend the money?
Yeah, I don't think I would move from Ceballos to James at the moment.
No, it's fair enough.
No, I feel it's funny because I feel like saying James has the potential to be rotated now if they're all fit. But then Ceballos was the one that was rotated yesterday. So I understand fully what I'm saying doesn't bear out with what happened yesterday, but I don't see Ceballos being dropped again. I think Arsenal played that way, particularly to try and nullify you with those 3 defensive holding midfielders. That
went well. Looked a lot better when Ceballos come on.
Well, they're better off attacking than they are. Like, sometimes attack is the best form of defence. They're better off attacking than they were.
Can someone tell me what Andreas Pereira does?
Not me.
I mean, really harsh. He's quite young, but I've seen a bit of him now. I don't know what he is. Solskjaer made a really bizarre comment last week. Was talking about, obviously, Alexis Sanchez has gone to Inter on loan and joined his mate Lukaku. That should go well. And he was talking about Pereira as a winger. I'm like, I've seen him playing the 10 role as kind of somebody who can get in around holding players, disturb them, links the game okay. Oh, you had a shocker.
Yeah.
It's as bad a performance as I've seen from an attacking player in the Premier League. He was just anonymous. Literally nothing. Looked so out of his depth. And I know that's quite harsh because he's young, but you're just looking at it again and going, this is Manchester United. Where's your quality? Where's your standards? Pogba, I don't get this Pogba in a holding role. I don't get it. He gets caught in possession so much. If he plays as a 10, he'll score 15 odd goals. I don't... Let him play as a free spirit. I thought the only player who played well for United, I thought he was excellent, was McTominay. I thought he was really good.
Yeah, he's a good player.
He's really stepping up, and obviously he's got the assist for the goal as well. We're not saying it's an FPL asset. On Southampton, it still feels kind of a void at the moment, I think. Che Adams, disappointing.
When I saw Vestergaard was the goal scorer, I was like, he's probably one of their worst player. I feel bad calling him a worst player, but he's not exactly the best. but he's managed to get in and score the
He's
goal.
in the EFL Dream Team at the moment, isn't he, for
Yeah,
the
yeah.
season? Which kind of sums up the lack of clean sheets so far, and
knocking
that
around.
will change.
Che Adams, I haven't been a fan of since the start of the season, or from what I've seen, because he doesn't hit the target enough.
Well, this was my
He just
first
doesn't
real
hit the
watch of
target.
Southampton this season, and from that perspective, he disappointed, I thought. A couple of half chances he had, he was really kind of snatchy at them, and he's got power in his shots. Danny Ings links the game really well, is quite underrated in that area. I don't know what Che Adams' future there is in the short term. I think in the longer term, he'll score goals at that level, but he can't be considered at the moment around others. And with Redmond's injury, Bafal flatters to deceive. You always feel like he's got the ability. After about an hour, he was like, I'm not going to take Wan-Bissaka on anymore. This is silly.
Let's talk about Chelsea 2, Sheffield United 2. It was an interesting game in that Sheffield United did themselves no favours gifting Chelsea the lead with mistakes, which was rather sloppy. Tammy Abraham popping up with 2 goals. Me saying that I need more convincing from him. He's doing his best to try and convince me that he is going to be cut. He is going to cut it in the Premier League. Can't argue with him for the fact that he's put 2 goals on the board. But it's everybody's favourite OOP, Callum Robinson, who popped up with...
Everyone's favourite.
Well...
how many percentage of owners?
FPL Tomo, but FPL Blade Tomo counts for like 12 FPL players. So
It's got 0.6% ownership.
he was heavily touted as potentially the one to go for from United because of his OOP, listed as a midfielder, right? And he's going to play as a striker. But he did pick up a goal and an assist. And then I think credits to Sheffield United for battling back and not rolling over. And just goes to show if you can get this Chelsea defence, they're not going to keep any clean sheets, isn't it? Was it last week in the differential team you were asking me to buy Emerson? Yeah, don't mention Chelsea defenders to me.
No,
Just leave those.
there's no
out
point
of it.
bigging up Callum Robinson because at the moment anyone I score against them. Next 2, Wolves away, Liverpool at home for Chelsea. And then it is a very, very good run after that. Be interesting to see how Wolves get on against them because it will be the first game we haven't had to play Thursday,
Sunday, yeah.
Although you've got likes of Jimenez will probably come back quite late from international duty. But they'll go for it full strength against Chelsea in game week 5. There's this recurring theme for Chelsea, unfortunately, with these second half performances, and people are smelling it already. With the ball, look dangerous. Mount, even like Barkley, I think Kovacic is playing quite well when he's on the ball at the moment, looking a bit of a threat. Can't knock Abraham, 4 goals in 2. The skeptic in me last week said it was 2 goals against a promoted team. The skeptic in me this week says it's 2 goals against a promoted team.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what he does against Wolves and Liverpool. But Chelsea can't be doing that. Like, full credit to Sheffield United for staying in the game and really, he didn't just have 2 efforts on goal and fluke them. They were the better side in the second half, and probably by the time the equaliser came, deserved it, albeit somewhat fortunate in the way it came about off of Zuma. But I think Chelsea, you have to be. It's difficult, right? Because we're all in agreement Lampard's going to need some time, etc., right? They're on the same amount of points as Spurs and Man United. They've had they obviously had a very difficult 2 fixtures, but then from game weeks 3 and 4, it's got to be 6 points. Mm-hmm. You can't be... Suddenly they've got game week 6 home to Liverpool, and then potentially you're looking at them 3 home games winless. Like, if you want to finish top 4, you can't be going 3 home games in a row and not winning. I don't see at the moment Chelsea finishing top 4. I just feel like the change in the makeup of the team and the squad's gone too far to youth. We've screamed at it for years. Get these kids in the team. It's gone a little bit too far. And when Hudson-Odoi gets fit, as he should, he's going to be in that team, and it's even younger. And Loftus-Cheek, and then it's even younger. Azpilicueta had a shocking game at the weekend by reports. I think I saw a stat that he gave away possession 3 times more than any other player on the pitch.
3 times more?
Yeah.
That doesn't sound possible.
Yeah, well, that's what I saw.
Yeah, that doesn't sound possible.
All right. That's what I saw.
Yeah, no, I'm not doubting that's what you saw.
Yeah. like unforced errors, all that shit.
Yeah.
That's what I saw. Reece James is another one. It's another kid. He's probably going to nick his place eventually. I've seen a decline in Azpilicueta over the last 12 months. I think he's been an unbelievable right back. And the reasons it will show for Azpilicueta underperforming is because he has been so consistent. I think 3-4 years ago, he was clearly the best right back.
Right back for sure.
In the league. So consistent, positionally very sound. Now the age is starting to catch on in him
it's
a
always
bit.
going to, isn't it? Sadly.
And Reece James at 5 will probably drop to 4.9 is worth watching, but I mean, it wouldn't really matter what prices those guys were at Chelsea.
You don't buy Chelsea defenders.
Like I
That's
said,
mantra.
like with Emerson, you if you get him in and he is looking a threat every game, you're going to have to get the attack in return because I just don't see the clean sheets in them at the moment.
I don't believe in buying defenders necessarily for attacking returns of the top clubs. There you want clean sheets. You may as well get.
The reality is, if you break down the team that
Liverpool.
obviously played from at the weekend, suddenly you're looking at a team who would have aspirations, maybe not this season, but genuinely to challenge for the title. And it's not to discredit any of these kids, but suddenly they've got 2 players playing in the team who were at Derby County last year. They're being led up front by a guy who was at Aston Villa last year. These guys were all in the Championship. It's just a little too many altogether at one time. And it might be that come sort of springtime, you're looking at them going, wow, aren't they a good side? But I think it's going to take a lot of time.
Crystal Palace 1, Aston Villa 0. This game is in the news as much for that disallowed goal at the end than anything else. But Palace have snuck in another victory that's put them in the top 4, so the table doesn't lie. I thought these guys were going to go down. Honestly, fair play to them for picking up the home win. But I don't think you can say it was deserved. I mean, that goal at the end should have stood.
To clarify, Palace well deserved to win this game.
On the balance of play,
deserved.
but I'm saying the goal shouldn't have been disallowed.
It's
So at that
ridiculous.
point, it's I agree with you on the balance of play, but I'm saying that goal should have stood.
It's an absolute shocker how anybody can believe that someone is diving when they are passing the ball to their mate. Like, it's absurd. Not even that. It's not even a dive anyway. Like,
No, he's falling.
He's falling, and you would argue if he pushed the ball past Cahill, you'd go 100% that's a penalty. But because it's gone that way and the ball's nowhere near him and he falls into Cahill, that's ridiculous. It's really, really bad, man. And I can understand why Villa was so aggrieved about it. But truthfully, Palace well deserved to win the game. They were the better side long in advance of Trezeguet's ridiculous red card. Him and Danso both needed shooting for their yellows. And Willy Bolly so late in the game for Wolves yesterday. Good from Palace. Better. And Jordan Ayew obviously with a goal again. I don't know if did we start looking at 5 million?
No. No, there's certain players and teams that are just not on the list, and that's it.
I don't know. You're saying you don't know what to do with your money? Who's your third striker? Well, you've got 3
I've
up front.
Three
haven't
up
you?
front. I'm playing a 4-3-3 at the moment. And I'm going to stick with a 4-3-3 for now.
There's certainly a lot of movements 3 up front. I think it's very understandable on the way some of these mid-price forwards like Pukki, Abraham and Allaire are performing at the moment.
Leicester 3, Bournemouth 1. Leicester looking tasty. Jamie Vardy with 2 goals. He and the assist. He has come up trumps in my North team, which we'll probably talk about later. I think it's 48-point lead in 4 weeks. I don't know, mate. Is it?
I don't know.
You're the one that keeps saying bring it on.
I don't know.
It's just too easy, and I don't want to. I'm not. It's not like I'm not sitting here saying it's managerial genius.
I captained Allaire. I got Kane goal, Bamiyang goal.
Yeah.
I got Fraser assist. Still miles behind.
I for shits and giggles captain Pukki, and he blanked, and I still managed to pick up another 10, 12 points.
I'm gonna find a way.
Tielemans, who I didn't have, returned despite maybe not having should have had a red card and shouldn't have got the second assist.
Absolutely, the red card all day long.
But the Fraser Wilson relationship has they've made up
I wonder how many people sold them both this
a
week.
lot.
That's
Callum Wilson had
enough.
another price drop. I think I was looking on Twitter. It was saying 7.8. I'm glad I sold him for Allaire now because the value drop.
He's
was
dropped
crazy.
0.2. He's returned in every game.
single game.
But I think it's the effect
Other
of
value elsewhere. There's just
Absolutely,
better value elsewhere. That's what I always say. There's 2 sides to every transfer.
And I think a lot of people were presetting their mind on people like Wilson and Fraser. Yeah, we'll take the swing on the first 2 game weeks and then we'll come off anyway. And then once you see Man City game week 3, everyone's diving and then it spirals from from there. I mean, the 3 assists that Wilson got was somewhat fortunate. He took the goal absolutely brilliantly. Very, at the weekend. Very tidy finish.
Instinctive, tidy finish. Jamie Vardy's first goal as well, I thought, was a throwback to the good old days of whack it over the top. Vardy will outpace them in the channels and finish.
Do we think, and this is an interesting point because Vardy is obviously more expensive than, say, Wilson. Do we start looking at Jamie Vardy and think to ourselves, okay, they really, really have got a shot here of pushing for top 4? Like, genuinely already. I said, like, when we had Sean and Bradley on Thursday's Clash of the Correspondents, I said, you've got to get ahead in that race for top 4 or forget about it. Right, they're ahead. You've got themselves almost a game in hand, essentially, on United, Chelsea and Spurs. And I think they're a point clear of Arsenal as well, aren't they?
Yeah.
I think, yeah. So they're ahead in the race, right? Should we start looking at it rather than going, I don't know if it's Maddison or is it Perez, is it Tielemans, or I fuck around with the budget ones at the back? Is Soyuncu worth all the less than Chilwell and Pereira? Should we just literally be looking at it and going, Jamie Vardy, man? Because that's what I'm beginning to think if I was to invest in Leicester. And I'm beginning to think it might be a necessity.
Vardy or Leicester?
Just Vardy.
Right, so here's my thought process. While I'm churning it out, I know it's not great listening for people while I'm thinking.
It's not great listening anyway.
I need, if I'm gonna bring in Jamie Vardy, it means turning Pukki. I've got 2 options: turn Pukki or Haller into Vardy, which means finding money elsewhere, which then also might even mean a change of formation, or downgrading Harry Kane to Vardy, and then I've got a bunch of money to use potentially elsewhere. It's back to that surgery thing, like restructuring the way that I've balanced the funds in my team. So do I need to upgrade Pukki or do I need to downgrade Kane? That's the question now, rather than do I need to get Jamie Vardy in. They've got a couple of tough fixtures, but Leicester, we've always said, are fixture-proof. Right?
A little bit. I think this is a massive little period for them, and they can take a swing at it because, like I said, they're ahead. So their next fixtures are United away, Spurs at home, Newcastle at home, which is a fixture they've lost the last 2 years at the King Power, and Liverpool away. So next 4, obviously expect them to beat Newcastle at home. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they went to Old Trafford and won. Mm-hmm.
At the moment, Old Trafford, like, we're playing United in 2 games. I can't wait.
At the moment, in game week 6, you'd probably look at them playing at home to us and say, if they defend our counter better, because Leicester have always been so good at counter-attacking, right? Suddenly now teams are going to start trying to do it to them, and it'd be interesting to see if they can deal with sort of Spurs' counter of sort of Son, etc. Then they're capable of beating us. And there's a sort of side that could give Liverpool some trouble, right? They drew at Anfield last year.
Yeah.
They had a great chance at 1-1. They easily could have lost the game as well, in fairness, that midweek game in late January, I think it was. But then look at them fixtures from 9 to 17. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, they're looking particularly good.
Burnley at home, Southampton away, Palace away, Arsenal at home, Brighton away, Everton at home, Watford at home, Villa away, Norwich at home. Takes you up to December the 21st. We're going to have to look at them real soon.
I feel like the relationship with Maddison and Vardy is getting better and better game by game.
Yes.
The link-up play, there was a number of occasions where they could have fed each other and just that final ball didn't quite make it through, or a covering block or what have you. I was really disappointed to come out of this game with no returns for Maddison. But based on the highlights that I saw, I'm completely comfortable sticking on Maddison. I think Maddison's had a rise as well, you know that?
Yeah, I think
so I'm happy to catch that. Yeah, he's gone up to 7.1.
I think...
Can you cover Vardy with Maddison? There's 1.8 million in there, difference in price.
What does it mean, cover?
Well, if you could get 80% of the points that Vardy's going to get with Maddison, does it justify the extra 1.8 million or the surgery I need to do in my team? It's difficult to know. I mean, Vardy's a 20-goal a season guy. He's been scoring in and around 20 goals for 4 out of the last 5 seasons. Maddison, if you get 10, you're doing particularly well. But then he might pick up some more clean sheets and assists. So
I feel like if I was to go into Leicester, I'd put it this way. Obviously, Jose Perez sold and didn't play at the weekend. Was a touch. Well done. I feel like him... And he will get back in the team. Maddison, Tielemans. I feel like they're going to share the returns quite a bit. Like, it's felt like Maddison the last couple of weeks. Obviously, in the 2 preceding weeks, Maddison didn't get anything like a return like Tielemans has gotten in his 1 week, right?
Yeah.
With goal and assist, and kind of that's the one you want, is that odd one like that. That's really going to help you with your rank immediately. My instinct is we really, really, really should be watching Jamie Vardy. I got.
It was the same last season.
I got a feeling
season.
a lot of us are going to end up with him in our team for that period that I mentioned there, sort of 9 to 16 or what it was. Yeah, I don't feel like with those 3 and 4 fixtures, it's really worth smashing it up to get him in. But actually, I would hazard a guess that in a few of those fixtures in that sort of October to December period, he'll be captainable as well, mate. And because of his consistency, you can rely on him.
Yeah. I thought Manchester City, I said it on the pod last week, it's there in audio. It wouldn't be as straightforward against Brighton because Brighton would be able to put up a little bit of a fight. Shows what I know. Shows what I know.
Just a couple of things on this before we talk FPL. Brighton had 48% of the ball.
Which is disgustingly high.
I think Spurs had a similar number in game week 2 somehow. Nobody quite knows. What was that, delaying goal kicks or something? Nobody really knows how that happened. But that's a decent number, right?
You're very high. Very
Guardiola high. Was incredibly complimentary about Potter and Brighton after the game. Why is he so complimentary about it, mate?
I don't know. Tell me.
Because that's how he wants teams to come and play against Man City. Come and play football and you're going to get battered. Yeah. And do you know what? If this is going to be Brighton's principle now of trying to play in a certain way, they made slight tactical tweaks from what they normally do, where March had come off of the left wing and played in a role sort of in behind Maupay. But otherwise, it was kind of similar to this back three that they've been playing. And they tried to play football. They had a brilliant, I think it was Trossard, had a great chance, didn't he? It might have been at 2-0 or at 1-0 at the home end. And Ederson made a good save. And they're in and about games, but that's how Guardiola will want teams to come and play there, right? He wants that rather than the low block sit in, have the ball. Because what that allows is for Man City to have runners in behind. You're dead at that stage, mate.
They scored 14 goals in the 4 games now.
Yeah.
And against Tottenham, they scored 2. That could have been a 3 or 4 as well, comfortably.
It could have been at 6, mate.
They are cruising it. The difficulty you have is that they're spreading the attacking returns around, as they always do. Assist for Silva again. Bernardo Silva now on the score sheet as well. KDB is a consistent. Aguero is a consistent. I think that the Raheem Sterling blank is just an anomaly, and he could easily have been in amongst it at some point.
He had a quiet weekend. I saw we spoke about it on the earlier pod, and FPL Pringle was saying that Sterling wasn't really at it at the weekend.
It's a bit easy when your mates are banging them in for fun and you're 4-0 up. You know,
there is that score after 2 minutes. So yeah, I mean, you know, Aguero's first goal where De Bruyne's played it into his feet. Next weekend that's into Sterling's feet, and so no, I wouldn't be concerned about that at all. I certainly wouldn't advise anybody jumping from shifting your team to go Sterling to Aguero. I mean, if you can find a way to get Aguero in and it works, but by all means do it. Particularly while there seem to be lingering doubts about Jesus. I feel like, and I said this morning with City, like, don't make concessions. That's what I really feel about them now. Like, David Silva's had 4 assists in 2 games. It's great. Bernardo Silva come on and scored, and we know he'll get back in the team. They feel like concessions. Like, make your concessions elsewhere.
Yeah, just go with the big boys from City.
Whether that be you want to get the premium defenders or the premium attackers, and you have to include De Bruyne in that.
Oh, yeah. He's definitely... He's a premium price, particularly cheap. I'm a bit concerned about not having Kevin De Bruyne. There's only 2 players in the game that I really, really would like, and one is Luka Dean and the other is Kevin De Bruyne.
Just as a reminder, in 16-17, De Bruyne got 27 attacking returns. 21 of those were assists, admittedly. 17-18, he got 26 attacking returns. 18 of those were assists. He is on course to do some stupid numbers here. We're talking about him at his valuation potentially, I think if staying fit, pushing towards a total of sort of 230 points.
I would have gone for 250. So goes to show where we think.
Well,
he is.
it's not going to return every single week.
And why? Like, just look at the guy. Why?
Because
why?
Because it doesn't work like that.
No,
does
it doesn't,
It's not going to
but-
return every single
No,
week.
but even you could just see him picking up a cheeky assist here and there. These guys are scoring 3 to 4 goals per game as an average, which is what they're on at the moment, 3.6 or something. He will. But
I mean,
let's see.
he's on 34 points. What's Raheem Sterling on? A couple more, is it?
Yeah.
28, 34. Raheem's on 37.
Ouch.
But just shut. I mean, the value in De Bruyne is
Phenomenal.
astonishing. It's not enough to feel like you can captain him. Really, I don't think. I think you can in certain games, particularly like these at home, if you haven't got that City coverage. But I think the advice would be, like, go and get Sterling or Aguero now. I think.
If you haven't got him, Sterling's
him.
at 47%.
But of the
Kevin
three-
De Bruyne is like 28. Is he?
My biggest regret on the starting the season was I ended up obviously changing De Bruyne to Sterling very late on.
Yeah.
And obviously no real regrets after Sterling got the hat-trick in game week 1. But I regret not finding a way to get both of them in from the start. Yeah.
Yeah. De Bruyne's at 31.7% ownership at the time of recording, so it's still quite
Going to
high.
rise. And also on that, obviously, you can't really come off Sterling anyway. 46.7% ownership.
Have you got your leagues there open in front of you? Scroll
Oh, you
down
can
to-
do.
Oh, sorry.
Go on,
scroll
crack
down
on.
here. This is your team, right?
Yeah.
So I'll tell you why I'm getting down to where we are. The leagues. Here we go. Overall, right. So yeah, you are. I am 907,102 overall.
Yeah.
My game week 1 rank is 907,068. The difference between those two ranks being 34 people.
Yeah.
So you got a difference in yours. So there are 34 people that started the game a week later than me that have more points than me.
Yeah.
How many is yours the same?
A
Is there like
little bit more, 47, I think.
bastards?
So what?
They started a week later and they got more points.
Yeah, probably ate the game week 1 team, started again and started firing up triple captains and all that
I just
shit,
think it's
didn't they?
amusing that it is possible, but that's the there you go.
Look, right now, I was listening to Tom and Nick's pod last week where they were saying they'd got ahead of their zombie team. Well,
We're not yet.
ours had an absolute fucking stormer this week. And
Yeah.
our zombie team, to give you perspective, not just as it beating us, it's now 5th in the correspondent league after a 79-point game week and is up to 377,000 in the world. And it won't last.
You say that. With Laporte injured.
Yeah.
We've got Diop to come in now. In his
Yeah,
place,
it's definitely
let's
fucked.
see. He had an 8-pointer this week. I was if Diop had come in, we would have probably hit the top 100k. Newcastle 1, Watford 1. I didn't see the highlights of this, James, so this is on you.
Well, there's nothing to tell you FPL asset-wise. Worth noting, and it might be worth watching next couple of weeks because Watford played a different system at the weekend. He played a back three, played Yanmat at left. Sorry. Yanmat at one wing back, Femini at the other side. I forget which way round it was now. Holly Bass was left out for technical reasons, whatever that means. You would think Holly Bass as a wing back would be even better suited than full back, so that was interesting. I don't know if it was enforced with obviously Deeney's injury and Capu missed out very late on. They left Delafeu on the bench. It was all a bit weird, but then they scored after a couple of minutes, right? So I think he had to try something else, Gracia, and it looked like it was probably a fair result, but they were the ones really pushing for the winner at the end, I think, Watford. There's nothing here you're going to invest in either of these two clubs, so we'll cut it short. However, I do need to say something about the fucking Newcastle equaliser, mate. Have you seen it?
No. Like I said, I haven't seen the highlights.
So all the listeners...
Was that a handball?
Yeah,
sorry,
all the listeners will. So it hits Isaac Hayden's hand very clearly. Goals given.
Is that why he's given the assist?
Yeah, it hits his hand, yeah. It's unintentional, and the goal should stand in the same way Dendoncker in game week 1 and Laporte in
But
game
why
week 2.
didn't they stand? That's the whole
point
point,
is,
isn't it?
as much as we slated the rule, particularly after the Laporte decision against Spurs in game week 2, it's like, okay, fine. We all hate the rule. It's not VAR's fault. That's the rule. You've implemented it. We all have to accept it. We don't like the rule. We can't change it. No. Like, there's no excuse Someone needs an explanation for why that Newcastle goal was not ruled out.
But we're not getting them.
Because technically, seriously, this will sound over the top, but what would happen if Watford looked at it from a case? Say Watford go down by a point. Right, technically, by law here, in comparison to the Dendoncker and Laporte incidents here, are they in their right to say we should replay the game?
I don't know.
Does it go that far? Are we going to get in that sort of problem with VAR?
I don't know is the answer. I feel like VAR was brought in to get the right result. And all we've seen this weekend is a number of situations where it hasn't got the right result. And now what we're hiding behind is it's not VAR, it's the rules. The same situation for this, right? It's not VAR, it's the rules. It's the handball law that's a problem. Jack Grealish's, it's not about VAR, it's because the whistle had already blown and the ball would hit the net or whatever.
I've got a theory here on why the goal wasn't disallowed. I've got a theory that the angle that we all saw, they haven't got it.
But
we've had this before.
They might come out and say that.
Think of the Llorente incident in the Champions League quarterfinal with Man City, where that goal now obviously definitely wouldn't stand, 100%. But they reckoned the one that looked the worst angle, and it's still up for debate whether it should have counted or it shouldn't. But the one that made it look the worst, the VAR at the Etihad that night didn't have the pictures of it.
Yeah.
That's the only excuse I can think of for VAR, because it's not like a case of, I don't know, they didn't give the penalty or they did give the penalty. We know, factually, every single goal is being reviewed. Mm-hmm. You can't tell me you didn't look at it. But there's only one angle that shows it. There's no other angle where you could possibly see it. It's just one angle where you can see it hit his hand.
Yeah, that might well be the case.
But then come
here.
out and say that, and then if that's true, why have you not got that angle?
Yeah. Because if the TV cameras have got it, they should have access to everything that the TV cameras have.
Of course they should.
Yeah. West Ham 2, Norwich 0. Fairly straightforward win in the end for West Ham. Could have ended up being a 4-0. We did talk about it in length in Tottenham, which is our other show where we go into more detail about Tottenham and West Ham. But the second gig time, Haller's been on the score sheet in 2 weeks, and he is looking like a tasty FPL asset. He's gone back up to 7.5 million now. Yarmolenko chipping in with a goal. He could have had more, hit the post with a cracking volley and a couple of other chances he had as well. And Norwich didn't play well, mate. Norwich didn't play well.
The listeners will, with respect to West Ham, and we can talk about it a little bit, the listeners will want to know two main things right now, Pukki and Cantwell. Go.
I thought Cantwell was their best player, maybe tied with Aaron's. Not necessarily because of quality, but more because of quantity. Like he was getting about the pitch, he was very active and trying to make things happen. He was a bit all action, was Cantwell. So he was their best player. Quality-wise, I thought Aaron's actually bombing down the wing was pretty decent as well. Pukki, like hardly any touches, and he had one or two opportunities to do something, but didn't really. He was very quiet, but I don't really blame him. Service was non-existent. Steepman.
Why was it non-existent?
That's a good question. I mean, Rice and Noble were really good at snuffing out any potential opportunities. Diop, we defend quite deep, so maybe there wasn't space for him to get in behind necessarily. I don't know. I was surprised to see that Norwich had more of the possession than we had. Didn't feel that way, but towards the last 20 minutes, it was much more counter-attacking from us whilst they were trying to break us down, being sloppy, and we just were tearing up the other end. Cantwell was their best player. I can see him picking up yellow cards. I don't know what his record's like for yellow cards, but it did feel like he was living on the edge a little bit.
Well, until this season, he had no record. That's why we were all getting that wrong one.
Yeah. No, well, I mean, even in the Championship, I don't know what his record is like. Todd Cantwell, yellow card record.
Let me ask a silly question. Let's say, and a lot of people will have done this, let's say you bought Pukki at 6.5 or 6.6. He's currently 7.
Yeah.
Is there a case to sell him?
Yes. I will answer that very quickly, and I understand my one-word answer doesn't really help, but put it this way. I set my bust team up, or bust if you're James, I had a little squeeze of my tit there. And I've dropped Pukki for the game against City, and I've put Lundstrom in because I think Lundstrom is more likely to get me a return with Southampton at home than Pukki is with City at home. If Norwich play like they did against us, City will tear them a new one, honestly. We did say that...
I don't think it matters how Norwich will play. City will still probably tear them a
We
new
did
one.
say that there's a chance that Norwich are going to get spanked 4 or 5 this season. I mean, we had 18 shots. I think 10 of which were on target. This game should have finished 4 or 5.
For all the nice comments about Norwich, particularly kind of the Chelsea game was thoroughly enjoyable. They had a go at Liverpool. They obviously well beat Newcastle. This one was a little bit more reality. Like, you're not in the game. You've been fairly comfortably and routinely beat.
Yeah.
I cannot see them staying up right now because of the defensively. Like, they're going to have to score 2 or 3 goals in a game to get points in games, I think.
I think we're going to know very soon because, look, City at home, that's a hit to nothing. You have a crack, and if you win, you win. If you don't, no one expected anything from you. Then they go away to Burnley, which is no mean feat. Away at Palace. For all we say about Palace, they're seasoned Premier League pros. Like, Roy Hodgson knows how to set them up. Then they've got Villa at home, then away at Bournemouth, then United at home. By the end of that game week 10, if they need to get a result at Villa and probably one other game to even be in a chance.
Pukki, we always said pre-season, we even kind of said this with Mark, FPL Badger, you met at the weekend.
We did.
Norwich correspondent.
Quick point, yeah.
And we were always kind of highlighting game week 6. And we've got Mark on with Jack at Turfy Topper before Burnley play Norwich in game week 6 because it looked like a good turn of fixtures for both of them. I look at Pukki over the next 6 fixtures, and I think a little bit like you, City at home, Burnley away, Palace away, like how much really does that interest me?
Yeah.
Actually, the fixtures 8 to 10, even though it includes Manchester United in that, are probably more appealing in terms of what you might expect from Pukki returns. There is always a danger when someone jumps up in value so quickly and with such an ownership jump. Don't forget, he started game week 1 with 2% ownership or something?
Very low. 38.6 as it stands.
There's always a danger that because the value is there in your bank, that you hold on to him for too long. Now, let's be realistic. He's one blank. Mm-hmm. It's not a reason to come off.
Yeah.
Can City beat Norwich 6-1 and Pukki get the return? Yeah, absolutely. And that'll do you, right?
Will it?
I think you've seen them live now. Mm-hmm. I watched the Chelsea game sick and pissed and watched the Liverpool game with you just pissed. Is there anyone else in that Norwich team where you could think, put it this way, let's say Norwich lose 4-2 to City. Could you see other returns there that would not involve Pukki?
No, not massively.
Then he's still absolutely... he's obviously the talisman.
So here, the thing is, I bought Pukki at 6.7. You got him at 6.6, did you?
The same, 6-7.
Okay, so if he went up to 7.1, I can nick 0.2. At the moment, I only get 0.1 of the 0.3 rise, because it's around numbers.
No, that's why I said if you're at 6.6.
Another jump to 0.1, and I would consider taking the money off the table.
For the first time today, the movement has stopped. Mm-hmm. And it started to look like it might go the other way.
Yeah.
And
I've got the ability to
the
lose
fixtures
one.
Obviously very relevant in that as well. The fact that they play Man City.
Yeah. Oops.
I think if he dipped to 6.9 before they play City, I might sell him.
Yeah, I'm not too dissimilar. I jumped on our friend Andy Let's Talk FPL's live stream yesterday, and it was funny because I didn't realise that he already talked about benching Pukki for Lundstrom, and I asked exactly that. I'm thinking of benching Pukki. What do you think? And he said, look, well, he did make the point. How many players do you know that have scored twice against City? Like, it just doesn't really happen, especially from these lower league teams, right? It's rare for you to pick up double returns against City. There's every chance Pukki will score 1, but there's very little chance that he's going to score 2. And Lundstrom could come in with a clean sheet.
You're very unlikely to miss out on a massive haul.
Exactly, correct, there ain't going to be a haul there. So benching Pukki, I'm quite comfortable with for Lundstrom, who I see against Southampton could keep a clean sheet, because I know Sheffield United know those home games are the ones where they've really got to put out the performance and win. So I'm thinking Lundstrom over Pukki. And yeah, if you've made 0.2 on Pukki and you would decide you want to sell him, I wouldn't be averse to that. I didn't see anything at the weekend that made me think, yeah, he's still in and around it. They weren't great at all.
I think we put it down to have a very bad day, and I think generally the advice would be keep watching.
Yeah, I
it's
did
all
say it
right.
as well. From a Norwich point of view, and the people I know who are Norwich fans, and I know quite a few because I've got friends from around the area, they said it's the worst they've played for a while.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you can overanalyze defeats, draw a line, move on. But move on where? Straight into fucking Manchester City.
The other thing to say is, because we're kind of working here that a lot of us have got him. There's obviously a lot of listeners that haven't got Timu Pukki.
Yeah.
So obviously now look, forget what you've lost out on. They're playing Man City.
No,
However
it's not
you
the
feel
time to
about
buy
it, it's not this week.
Nah, for sure.
If he scores against City, you might want to assess that again. Yeah, I imagine I will hold him through the City game.
Yes.
I
Let's talk
imagine.
about Liverpool-Burnley, because the first time all season, both of us can say, yay, Liverpool triple defence.
Yeah, it was nice, wasn't
But
it?
from those three players to come out with 24 points because of the bonus and the assist for Trent is very satisfying.
I was at a family do on Saturday, and it was
Yeah.
watching the Liverpool game on my phone, trying to be sociable at the same time. And it was about 2 minutes to go, and I was like, surely this clean sheet's safe. And somebody was talking to me who'd not been there for very long, who said to me, they asked me something, and I was answering, and as I was answering, I realised that I wasn't even sure any longer what question I was answering. And she knew it as well, and she just said, I'll let you watch the end of that.
Magnificent.
Class. Yeah, it's nice to have it come in eventually, and the benefit, of course, is, look, Alexander Arnold's assist is fluky as fuck, right? But the benefit is you're very likely in games that Liverpool score 3 that you're probably going to get an attacking return off one of these guys as well at the back. So yeah, not overly troubled, I don't think, Liverpool.
I mean,
so-
Burnley's a very difficult place to go. I think the unsung three for Liverpool are the midfield of Wijnaldum, Henderson and Fabinho. I feel like I'm a big fan of Naby Keita, but I think they're the best three. And if you look at Liverpool's clean sheets, I don't have the patience or can't be bothered to do the research, but it wouldn't surprise me if it's when Wijnaldum, Henderson and Fabinho are the three in the middle of the park as well.
Someone check that out. I can't be
I
bothered
don't know.
either.
I
But
just
know
think if I
obviously
was picking the Liverpool team, those are the three I'd stick straight into the middle of the park.
Fabinho didn't play at Southampton, and it wasn't right.
No.
That I can definitely say.
And I think Henderson just gives them so much link-up play. He's
I think you can-
underrated as Jordan Henderson. I think.
He's improved his game massively,
A lot.
and I think that
And the leadership he brings as well.
well, yeah, and the fact that he manages to keep himself in that team is credit to him.
Of course.
But I think we could almost add Fabinho a little bit to that concern in terms of the spine defensively. I really rate him. I think
Yeah.
he's very, very good. Winning 3-0 at Burnley is very, very, very good for
And
anybody.
they won well as well. It wasn't like they were overly troubled. When I saw Burnley at Arsenal, they gave them a bit of a fright and they did give them a game. Liverpool were not troubled in the same way at all. It just goes again to show this Liverpool and City are just, they're playing at a pace and tempo.
Liverpool are miles ahead of those behind, and they look absolutely like a team that could win the league,
Yes.
but they won't.
You keep saying it.
I just get that in every week.
You keep saying it. Do you remember? It was the season that Leicester won the league, and from around about September, October, all the way through to December, every week on 606 on 5 Live, Robbie Savage was like, they're not going to win the league. They're not going to win the league. They're not going to win the league. Every soundbite came back to bite him in the bum at the end of the season. I feel a little bit like that way with this.
It wouldn't bother me if Liverpool win the league. There's only
Liverpool
2
are-
teams can win it.
Yeah, but they will.
to be honest,
There's a chance they can.
It's just,
It's not they
it's
will.
just a running joke. Will James get it in on the podcast? I think that's it.
Yeah, let's see. If you
But
don't
Mane,
already have
we
three
should,
Liverpool
we
players,
should talk about Mane, shouldn't we?
Well, there's a question
Is
about
Hissy
Mane.
fit?
Yes, there's that, but also Senegal have games lining up with game week 6 and 7 and stuff. Do
What's
they?
all that about?
There was a question on the.
Oh, I glanced. Ricky sent something in.
yeah,
That's got to
Ricky
be
Saunders
complete
did.
crap, hasn't it?
I have no idea. Senegal apparently have games that coincide with game week 6, 7, and 9. Surely this rules Mane out.
It's some dates.
The 20th of they're playing Guinea, Guinea. That's qualification rounds for the African Cup of Nations. Interesting.
That can't be right. Keep talking about something else. I'm going to go and look into
I'm
that.
not sure. Ricky Saunders is tweeting in, but talk about Mane's hissy fit. I don't know.
Ricky, I don't mean to mug you off in the middle of the podcast, but I might. Talk about something other than Liverpool.
Let's move on then to the game the next day. The other Scousers, Everton 3, Wolves 2. The scoreline for me doesn't reflect the performance. I thought Everton were better on the whole than Wolves and deserved to win. Agree?
I'm doing that thing I was doing at the party now.
Oh, you don't even know what we're talking about. But no, I think Delph had a good game and provided a little bit more stability for Everton. So I'm interested to see if he stays in the team. I heard a lot of people talking about Alex Iwobi as a potential option now, 5.9 million. Obviously, has popped up with the assist. I want to see a couple more games from Iwobi before I'm even considering him. But if he plays regularly, Iwobi, Richarlison and Sigurdsson behind Moise Kean could have some real attacking threat for Everton.
It feels a bit like Iwobi has given Everton a little bit more
Directness.
vigour, maybe.
Directness. It's about give me the ball, let me get in and create. Like Richarlison really was getting about again.
It worked really hard. We was joking about on the Sky Pod his number of tackles won this season, and he won a fair few again at the weekend and wasn't alone. A little bit more purpose about Everton, I would say. I think they took advantage of. The 3 goals from Wolves' perspective are absolutely awful. Connor Cody's a player I really rate. He calls Patricio on for the first goal and then plays it back anyway. I want to fuck. Patricio had no chance.
Yeah, I thought Richarlison's finish was quite good as well. It wasn't easy to put that.
Get your head over it and keep it down as best you can. The second goal, Traore obviously give Luka Dean quite a few problems, particularly obviously Wolves' first equaliser.
Yeah, if you listen back to the Clash of the Correspondents, Bradley was saying that Traore as a kind of right back was reformed and a completely different player this season to last season, and he showed it in this game actually, the way he was bombing down.
But that second goal probably doesn't happen if Doherty's playing. Because positionally, he's miles off. He doesn't know where to be. He doesn't know if he's a fullback or a winger. He's a winger, isn't he? But you don't want him with his back to it. And when he runs, like we say it all the time, you ain't stopping him.
Rapid.
It's just
rapid.
It's just, will he have the final ball that delivers? And in fairness, on the first goal, he's obviously done really well there. On the third goal, I mean, Christ, what Willy Bolly's doing there. Absolutely shocking.
Yeah.
Richarlison's full run and jump and only just beats Bolly in the air. All he has to do is jump and he wed the thing.
Manchild just walked into the house.
Hello, Manchild. How you doing?
We're talking about Willy Bolly.
Willy Bolly.
Do you like a bit of Willy Bolly? You're just laughing, smiling. Are you happy, Manchild?
I'm going to giggle in the other room.
Oh, okay. giggling squid.
How do you play football? I play with the Willy Bolly.
Manchild likes to hit the ball with his third leg. Kick it with Willy Bolly. Let's move on to the North London derby, and then we've got time today to get a little bit more into some questions. Arsenal 2, Spurs 2, North London derby. Another team like Chelsea.
I still can't find this shit about the African nations.
Yeah, who knows? We'll find it. You tell us about Spurs Arsenal, and I'll have a Google.
I'm sure if Mane was going to miss games, we'd have known about it. Tell you about what?
The North London derby, where you had a 2-goal lead and blew it.
Well, I didn't celebrate the first goal. I did, but I didn't. Because while all the fucking limbs were going on around me, I was like, was Lamela offside? Fucking hate that. He was obviously miles on. We couldn't tell at first. All right. Much better from us. I'm obviously disappointed to, as you'll hear on Tottenham tomorrow, disappointed not to hold on to the lead. But Arsenal deserves something out of the game at the end.
I agree with you. They did play well.
Tactical setup was really interesting to go 4-4-2. I kind of delve into that as well. I guess the one for FPL interest is strongly keep an eye on Sonny now from a Spurs perspective. I mean, he's going to tear teams on a counter-attack in games like that.
Yeah.
So he might even be one that going forward, you wouldn't even worry about the fixture on him. Yeah. If he's got the opportunity to counter, he's going to, like kind of Chelsea home game I'm thinking about last year, obviously City away in the Champions League, and he was very unlucky not to return yesterday. it wasn't a penalty at the end of the game. Needs to be absolutely said.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I didn't get the most. It wasn't like I was watching it as religiously as you were. I thought he had hands on him and pushed him.
No, it's not, man.
He went over soft.
If that was given against me, I'd go fucking mental. It's not a penalty. He's looking for the. As soon as he went into, I know Harry, right, and I know what he likes to do. He likes to back into people, and he likes to kind of kick back his legs. And Jamie Vardy does it as well, and to initiate the contact. And yes, Socrates was a fucking dickhead for putting his hand on Kane's back. That's never a penalty. No way. He certainly was in the first half. What is the point of Granit Xhaka?
I mean, here a pile driver in the second. It was in the last 2 minutes or something. I thought he's hit that ball hard. But
Did he?
Yeah, I seem to remember right in the last couple of minutes he had a decent shot. But yeah, I'm with you. Xhaka is the weakest out of if I was picking 2 out of the 3,
Guendouzi was excellent.
Torreira and Xhaka, the one that's getting dropped is Xhaka.
Emery likes him, doesn't he? I guess it sits in there better. I don't know. Look, Arsenal with that front 3 are going to cause some serious shitstorms. When they click on certain weeks, they're going to batter teams. But then that's how it always used to be with Arsenal, right?
Yeah.
You can see it now. They'll go to Sheffield United on a Monday night in a couple of weeks. United will beat them 1-0. You already know it. Let me give you the spoiler now.
Maybe. If you had 9.5 million in the bank right now, would you buy Pepe or would you buy Son?
Son.
You think Son's the greater threat overall?
Yeah. One of the things we'd said on tomorrow's short pod is like with Pepe, like he's a baller. He's got all the ability, just missing a bit of composure at the moment. I think
confidence as much as composure.
And he will be an FPL asset. I'm just not sure how soon that will be.
Yeah.
Arsenal defensively are shocking. Although in fairness, Spurs were not much better. Although it was much better having Vertonghen and Eriksen back in the team. And at least we go into this break now on although it's disappointing, a bit more of a positive feel around the club.
Yeah.
And it looks like all the big players are staying.
Yes. So far, no news on any of that kind of stuff. Anything else to add, James?
No,
on the fixtures?
Let's do some Twitter cues.
Yeah, let's do it. We don't really run through our Planet FPL League week in, week out. But I'm doing badly.
Tell him the manager of the month for August.
Manager of the month for August.
Be sociable.
It's not allowing me to filter.
Because
there probably is
finished.
no other months yet.
Who's the manager of the month?
It's Lydia Clements.
Well done, Lydia.
Tricky Trippier FC, 302 points.
Don't let anyone tell you girls can't play FPL.
Yeah.
Is that Colton Palmer in second?
Carlton Palmer. It is the Rico Reserves. So whether or not that's the
is
real,
it the real Colton Palmer?
Southampton.
He did play for him.
He did. Interesting team.
Colton Palmer is second in the Planet FPL Mini League.
Yes, he's got Jordan Ayew in his team at the moment. 6.3% for Ayew. That's particularly high.
He's got 2 West Ham players. That ain't lasting, is it?
That's your Southern softies.
He played a free hit.
Your
team don't matter, Colton. Moving on.
Yes, some Twitter questions.
Yeah, why not?
Let's go to the bottom because they're the ones that were asked earliest. And you only put this out a little while ago, so apologies if you haven't had the chance to ask a question, but we're now doing it very close to the show, aren't we? Otherwise we get 3 million anyway.
All right.
Tommy at Tommy_Bs. Is it fine having Pukki and Haller as my front 2, or should I go with more proven strikers?
No, it's fine.
I don't agree. Pukki and Haller could just easily have a blank. And when there are
anybody can blank.
Vardy's been banging in the goals. Kane's now got 3 goals. Aguero's on however many goals he's on. What's he on? 4 now? 4 or 5? Aubameyang's got a good run going in. Their premium strikers are scoring goals, which you can't always say has been the case. No?
I don't know. There's a lot of obviously gone down this kind of route of budget forwards, etc. I definitely know that I want to keep a premium one in about it. I can't see me ever getting to a stage where I haven't got a forward that is at least Jamie Vardy, is what I would say, personally. But, I mean, it obviously does allow you incredible power. I see a lot of teams that have got, say, Haller and Pukki or Haller and Barnes or any combination like that, Abraham. And you see, they've got Salah, they've got Sterling, they've got KDB, and he does look incredibly powerful. And when you compare what obviously the premium midfielders are doing at the moment against the premium defenders and the premium forwards, you can't really argue that strategy.
No.
But you've got to remember, I think, to treat them for what their value is. They are probably going to get you 10 to 12 Premier League goals. If you're happy with that, it's cool. But then you need to relate that in the same way you'd go for a defender and go, if you buy Wan-Bissaka, who's a bit cheaper in fairness, are you happy with probably no attacking returns, but when United get a clean sheet, he might be in for a really good BPS and you might get 12 of them?
The likelihood, if you've only got Haller and Pukki or anyone in those price brackets for your striker, is that obviously you're going to have Sterling and Salah and probably another. So again, you just got to make sure you got the captaincy coverage. If you've got midfielders that you have captaincy coverage for every single week, then that's fine, because captaincy, like we said a lot, is one of the most important parts of this game.
Captaincy, just out of interest, game week 5 is really interesting. It could be a very high scoring week if those big guys bang like they did in game week 1.
I put the armband blindly on Kane, and then I looked at Sterling away to Norwich, and I'm thinking, I think that week you'll see a bigger spread of captains. People that have Salah more than likely will captain Salah at home to Newcastle, right? People that don't.
I'd think the standout would be Salah, yeah.
Salah, Sterling, Kane. Those are the three that are going to share a lot of it. Aguero, if he's playing, might have a big chunk of it as well. He's obviously not travelling for the internationals.
I couldn't tell you right now whether I go Sterling or Kane.
Me neither.
Just purely because I know with Palace, it's not the sort of game we're going to go and run away 4-0 or so. So it's probably more, do I believe Kane can outscore Sterling? Whereas probably in terms of the ceiling on the day, Sterling's is probably higher. And therefore, that's probably the decision I should make, is Sterling. Undecided though.
Yeah, Ryan wants to know, would you ditch Mane and Salah, or Salah, if you haven't got one or the other, to just go with that triple attack? KDB, Sterling and Kuhn. You've gone with 2 out of the 3. I feel like 2 out of the 3 is enough. I wouldn't put all my Manchester City eggs in that basket. Also because Edison or Zinchenko offer good value at like 6 million, 5.5 million for defensive points as well. They kept 2 clean sheets out of 4 now, City. They're on track for 50% of their games to be clean sheets.
Yeah.
If not more.
Oh, it'll be more. I mean, I can very easily downgrade as Zinchenko, go Kane to Aguero, and I've got the 3.
Yeah.
And then obviously only captaining probably Aguero or Sterling. I'm probably basing that decision week in, week out on my fear over which one is least likely to be rotated, which is horrible. But if Kane was to get injured, that's the move I'd be making, I think.
Aguero.
I think I'd rather do that than come down to Vardy and then make other moves.
Not for me. I think you're better off just going to Aubameyang.
Just think why Aguero's firing and the upcoming fixtures, and Leicester's aren't. So the alternatives to that, like I said, would be come down to Vardy, which I'm not so keen on with the next 4.
Sure, but why not? You could also make the sideways move to Aubameyang, same price.
Yeah, I just want to see with Aubameyang how they're going to manoeuvre this whole Sky. It's because I'm thinking.
League.
It's because I'm thinking about getting. I know I'm getting Aubameyang in Sky. I know.
Yeah.
Thinking about how they're going to manoeuvre this Europa issue, because I'm not convinced that Arsenal will always play the front 3 like that.
No. Badly Drawn Blue. An interesting question, more around philosophy around FPL. The start of the season with a budget strike force of Jota, I got the right one, the one from Wolves, with a J, and King from Bournemouth. Both have dropped in value and have bad form, really. Am I right in holding on, or should I take a value hit and move them on? Not much to play with, though. This is kind of filtering into how stubborn do you get with picks sometimes. And I've learned
over management again,
just
right?
Move on. Like, I think you just waste too much time.
Yeah, I think Jota is a big concern through Wolves and Europe. They're going to treat Europe seriously. So there are going to be games. And so they should. I'm
glad they are.
Yeah. It might be the only shot they have. I don't think it will be. I think they're a very progressive club. But they're going to give it a real shot. We know that. Don't be surprised if on match day 1 Europa League that it's that full strength Wolves team.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised at all. And so Jota is going to miss out on league games. He's also someone who regularly only plays 60, 70 minutes anyway. And with Crotone obviously played at Everton, had a couple of decent efforts. You know, he looks all right. So he's going to get minutes as well anyway. King is not playing as high up as Wilson. I think there's a misconception at the moment on the bits I've seen of Bournemouth that he seems to be kind of linking in more like a 10 role, which is not really suiting at the moment. So again, you've got all these guys, Pukki, Allah, Abraham, they all look like really appealing. Ashley Barnes, just get it done.
I think Take a hit.
Ashley Barnes now, timing-wise, out of the Liverpool game, feels right. Brighton away next, Norwich at home. I think if he was going into one of them now, Barnes.
Blueberry at blurryface_08 says, and I'm confused, James, so help me here. Thoughts on Emerson? Chelsea look like they're going to be a lot stronger defensively on the other side of the international break.
I'm sorry.
Exactly. Chelsea look like they're going to be a lot stronger defensively on the other side of the international break.
But I think obviously Rudiger will be back, in fairness.
Okay,
which
yeah,
will help.
That's a fair point.
And obviously Kante as well.
So that's a fair point. I'll take it back what I said.
The problem is, if they keep leaving those areas in the centre of the pitch on the counter-attack late in games, it ain't going to matter who fucking plays there. He could play there with peak John Terry. It wouldn't make no difference because you just have too much coming at them. Obviously, Chelsea did play really well in the Super Cup against Liverpool. It'd be interesting if they try and deploy similar tactics against Wolves and Liverpool. At the moment, I'd anticipate to get beat at Wolves. Mm-hmm. Just see them playing right into Jimenez and Jota's the way they want to play. And with obviously Wolves not having a game before because of the internationals and then not a game for 5 days afterwards, you would expect them to go full strength against Chelsea. And I just think Chelsea will play into their hands. They'll have 60% of the ball. It will look tidy. It will look pretty. They'll piss off gone home and lost 2-1. And then it's Liverpool afterwards. So, I mean, we've said it numerous times about Emerson. Yeah, get him in. He looks like he's going to score every week. You're going to need him to score every week.
Yep. FPL_Rhinos at FPL Rhinos wants to know, when are you coming off the triple Liverpool defence? It feels like if you don't do it in game week 6, you probably never will, as there'll always be a clean sheet around the corner.
No intention of changing it.
I'm with James. No intention of changing it. I want the only thing in my defence that I want to get in there is Lucas Dean, and that will probably come at the cost of Zinchenko, because I'd rather have a City attacker.
I mean, if I was going to do it, I'd pile into doing it now to get Salah or Mane into captain in game week 5. Why would I do that when I've got 2 other very good options in Sterling and Kane? And then I look afterwards and go, okay, Chelsea away game week 6. It's definitely going to be Man City must be at home.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter. Game week 7, Sheffield United away, Leicester at home game week 8, and then United away, Spurs at home, Villa away, Man City at home. How desperate am I to get Salah and Mane to captain them in those particular fixtures? I'm not. Whereas I know I've got a great rotation with Sterling and Kane. Or if I ended up with Aguero, then just go Sterling or Aguero. City's fixtures up until that Liverpool fixture, I mean, you could definitely captain Sterling every week or Aguero every week. No doubt about it.
Yeah, of course. If you look at a lot of the people that have been moaning about captaincy blanks, they've been rotating their captains between the likes of Sterling and Salah. If they'd kept one throughout, they'd be better off. But yeah, there you go. Another question that has come in from Stranger on FPL, who asks, are Spurs assets back on the radar now that Eriksen is more likely to stay? Aside from that, let me ask you a question. 8.8 million for Christian Eriksen, 9.5 million for Heung-min Son. You're so sold on
all
Son.
Day long.
The way the determination in your face when you say the word Son. It's like,
here comes the sun.
No, but it's a very serious, don't fuck with me. Son is a man. Are you really seeing that much from him that he's
I think as well with Sonny, if you take games like the Newcastle game last week, he's the most likely, even probably more so than Kane, to get half a yard and get away a shot on the edge of the box. He can go left or right. He can play in multiple positions. he's absolutely locked into that first 11. Obviously, you're going to have some caution. Champions League is coming up. Spurs have start with Olympiacos away. And I'm pretty certain he'll definitely want Son to play in that for the counter in that and what damage it will do on the break. Yeah, you'll have to be cautious of that 3 days before we play Leicester in a Saturday lunchtime, game week 6. So yeah, but it's that's coming around for all the big clubs now in terms of possible rotation. You have to deal with it. Son has explosiveness to... I wouldn't see Eriksen getting near kind of matching De Bruyne assist numbers and that kind of thing. Whereas if you're comparing Son to... Son could get over 200 points. I don't think he will. But if he stayed fit all season, he could.
Richard Thiart? I hope I've done a good job in pronouncing your name, Richard.
But better comparison, actually, just to go back to that. Son and De Bruyne, similar price. De Bruyne.
Of course, yeah. Is De Bruyne 9.7 or 9.8?
It's 9.7 now.
Still 9.7. I might have to get him before he goes to 9.8 or 12 or whatever he's heading in
I'm
price.
telling you, mate, this is the best thing I've done so far this season. He's fucking getting back in my team.
Would you say there's a minimum number of transfers that should be made with a wild card, or is it fine just changing 4 players that are must-haves? I think he means a minimum, not like, okay, obviously if you're making 2 or 3 transfers, you're not. But 4 for me is always, 4 or more I'd consider a wild card. Anything less I wouldn't.
Really?
But does it need to be 5?
It went through my mind, -12s.
Okay.
I would rather have taken a -12 than used the wild card personally.
Now, for me, 5 transfers or more, and I'd wild card. Now, that's obviously there's other factors as well. We're into game week 4. There's another 15 game weeks before Christmas, give or take, roughly, right? When you get your next wild card. So the closer we get towards Christmas, the happier I'll be able to use it on fewer transfers potentially, because the time that I've got to maximize it is less. If I don't, I feel like if I don't use it by game week 12, 13, I'll be wasting it. So by 12 or 13, I definitely want to use it.
Now
I wouldn't take a -12, yo.
Can only see me wildcarding before December if I end up in a very, very bad injury situation.
I think 4 is the number, though, as an average.
I genuinely want to play around with... I'm really happy with my squad. I'm not happy with my rank at the moment, but I'm really happy with the squad now. I think it's got a real consistency feel about it, which means I can make transfers for given dip in, dip outs 1 or 2 game weeks. And obviously there are going to be things that will hurt, like injuries, suspensions. We know all that. So it's not a case of set and forget. But if I was setting and forgetting, I wouldn't be far away. Like, I wish right now that was my dead team.
Yeah.
Crack on. I really would like to try and manoeuvre properly around the Liverpool blank of the Club World Cup.
Yeah, that's when they're playing us, isn't it?
And yeah, so that's obviously postponed.
Christmas
We have
16th
right
or
now.
something.
We have no clue if that will be rearranged before or after New Year. I would suggest if both teams were to go out the League Cup quite early, it could be soon. And suddenly you're like, oh my god. Although with you having Oxford away and Liverpool having MK Dons away, that's probably quite unlikely. But if you did both go out, there's every chance that game would get thrown into sort of League Cup round 4 midweek. There's no reason why that shouldn't happen. So yeah, I'm thinking longer term. There's so many things that we don't have information for, in my opinion, like Champions League, Europa League, rotation, players. We kind of got the last few in that we hadn't really seen now, like Pepe. Feels like we've seen everyone now. But, you know, I'd like to see Pepe play away to Watford and see what he really looks like running at people. And, you know, after game week 5, you might think, oh, shit, I've got to get him in. So I still feel like there's lots to be learned and I don't really have enough information. And because I'm happy with my team, I'm obviously not thinking about wildcard, but like I completely understand those that have and are doing it.
Yeah.
I saw a shout out to Chef because he gave the retweet for the questions. He wildcarded the weekend. He cleared 100 points. Our United correspondent is my cap playing, cleared 100
Yes.
points at the weekend. Like, great. Who's going to argue? I'm sitting here going, yeah, I'm 1.1 million and got no consideration of wildcard. And Chef be sitting there going, yeah, by the way, mate, my overall rank's 3,000.
Yeah.
And going, well, yeah, I can't argue. Can I?
No.
Like, you've done the
No,
right thing
no.
for you.
Yeah. FPL The Flash wants to know why did I bring in AWB for Trent 2 game weeks ago? I need to answer this. I need an answer to this question because I'm an idiot. Like, Trent is now 3 assists in 4, and the consistency with which he's putting the ball in the box with just such deadly accuracy, and just what a beautiful right foot that boy has.
You decided that Palace at home, Southampton away, there was great prospects there for back-to-back 9-pointers, while Liverpool struggled in the first 2 game weeks. Their XG looked awful. They had Arsenal at home, Burnley away, and you made the move. You're not an idiot. You made a decision. It was wrong.
Yeah, but I mean,
We all make wrong decisions.
It was epically wrong. Trust me. If there's so
It's not epically wrong, man.
with Trent is a must-have in my opinion in this game. He really is.
Right, yeah. I was listening to...
Look,
not
FPL
listening. I think it was Tom
Rod.
Campbell was saying the other day, it might have been Adam Mockcroft, it was one of the two of them. They're both good-looking fuckers. Was saying about, like, for Robertson owners who have been on the wrong side of it, like, you feel like you've got to move to Trent, and you know the second you do what's going to happen.
Yeah.
It's going to go the other way.
That's why I
because
don't want to
Robertson
lose
still looks
Robbo.
like returning.
Of course.
But with Trent, you've got the power of the set pieces as well, right?
I'm very impressed with Trent this season.
And let's
Very
be honest,
impressed.
like, the assist at the weekend is a fluke.
Yeah, yeah,
Did you see
yeah.
Klopp's reaction
I mean, well,
to him
Klopp
not
thought it
getting
was a
given a
goal.
goal?
Klopp, come on, man. That's fishing a little bit.
Yeah, definitely, mate.
Well, FPL Carbon Rod, FPL Rod, he wants.
FPL Carbon Rod.
Yeah.
I like that one. That's good.
He wanted to know if we had to pick one defender, midfielder, and forward to stay in your side for the rest of the season and not move, who would they be? I mean, my defender's Trent without a fucking batting an eyelid. Without batting an eyelid.
100%.
3 assists in 4. How many would he make all season? That would be like fucking 30 assists this season or something
Yeah.
stupid like that.
De Bruyne midfield now.
Yes.
Which
I'm with
sounds
you on that,
ridiculous
I'm
with
with you on
Sterling
that.
sitting there as well. But
No,
yeah,
Kevin De Bruyne for consistency.
just at the value as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Up front, I'd probably take Harry Kane.
there you go.
And it's an interesting question. Is the past a good prediction of the future?
I've said everything that I want to say on Harry Kane.
He's staying in your team for
Yeah,
a
it's
while.
no consideration.
Yeah, game week 6, he's a consideration to move to Aubameyang for me, but probably historically, Kane might be the one. The FF Badger wants to know if KDB is good value or has he overperformed in the first 4 game weeks?
Next question.
He's clearly just doing what he's doing right now. FPL_Thunder or FPL Thunder 66. In a relationship like ours, is it more important to have the looks or the brains?
Oh,
I'm looking
what-
at Manchild.
what,
between
mine
you
and
me.
yours?
Yeah, I don't know. I've got both. So what do?
All right,
what-
well, you answer that.
How do you feel without either? Manchild's got the brains for sure. Manchild's got the brains because he knows how to like edit videos and shit
Yeah.
and put fire and stuff coming out.
Yeah.
Okay, let's turn this on his head. Manchild, and you got to answer this. In a relationship like yours and Matt Child's, what does it feel like to have the brains, not the looks? Because Matt Child's the one that gets the ladies, so he's clearly got the looks, right? Every other week, Matt
Looks like
Child's
he's
on a
gonna
different
fucking
date.
kill you.
Yeah, so you got the brains and he's got the looks. You can both edit video and audio. What would you rather have?
My job.
All right.
Staying
You
politically
can keep
correct.
your Planet FPL job.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Just for the record, mate, I'd rather be Matt Child than you.
What would you rather have, looks or brains? I've never had looks, so I don't know. Well, mind you, I've never had brains. I think you nailed that, actually, Suj. I don't know.
I didn't mean to.
No, I think you did subconsciously. I'm just here for the football.
Football,
You're here for the looks and the brains.
Football.
And your unbelievable people skills, as shown on FPL FYI on Friday. Well done.
My tact.
You were very good, mate. Very good.
Let's have a look here. Jim, the one and only.
Well, bloke.
You
You got to read out his handle, haven't you? Because it's more than one Jim in the world.
At FPL Footy Show Pod.
And he's
Used
very
to be,
good.
Used to be _FPL_Jim, yeah.
He sold himself.
I listen for the phrases that he comes out with, the northern ones. I love him. I love him.
I like Jim's
He still
got
hasn't-
so much charisma.
Still
I
hasn't
love
come
him.
out with a better one than he was offside by a maggot's eyelash. That was pretty. That was a good one because that's pretty narrow. But I'm waiting for more from Jim. I love it. I love it. Who's the best forward under 6 million?
I don't know why I thought that was going to be under 5.
6. Is it Jordan Ayew maybe?
Under 6.
Yeah.
Oh, Christ. Andone and Lecadia have both left Brighton on loan, haven't they? Which is weird. They've kind of left themselves a little bit short there, I guess. Which is probably good news. Forget Mopé and Murray for a second. It's probably good news if you're on Trossard, I would say.
Yeah.
And if you're considering Pascal Gross again. 6 million. Under 6 million forward. They're all fucking shit, aren't they? Christ almighty. It probably is Jordan Ayew, isn't it, at the moment? You've got to go with a form runner, I guess.
I mean, he's playing.
Yeah. I mean, they're all shy, aren't they?
Yeah.
Jordan Ayew.
There is 6.5 is where it starts getting interesting with strikers.
Connor Wickham, arguably.
Why? Because he's on your bench.
Yeah, just leave it.
Romilev666 Rom has asked Vardy or Haller going forward. I don't know if it's a good question because the price difference between the two. I have very different
You
expectations.
need some context in that.
Yeah. So
Does that mean
Vardy's going to score more points, but Haller might get more points per million potentially?
Well, is that, for example, is that Haller and De Bruyne, or is it like Vardy and Sigurdsson, for example?
Yep.
In which case, whichever option's got Kevin De Bruyne. It's
Yeah.
a bit of a love-in, isn't it? You just call this a KDB pod. But every pod's becoming the KDB pod.
And I can't believe I still don't own him.
You will. Yeah, that needs some context. What's going with that? Why is that the choice? What choices are you making afterwards?
Yeah.
If it's just a choice, you ask me Vardy or Haller, then go Vardy, isn't it?
Yeah, you would based on current form. But I mean, Haller's got the better fixtures for the next two, but long term, you'd potentially think that Vardy will outscore him with the form that Leicester are in at the moment. And they've got some real firepower behind there with Maddison and Tielemans and Barnes and Perez and so on and so on and so on. Not that West Ham don't with Anderson and so on. Should we end on one final A or B question? Lanzini or Anderson from Blurry Face?
I went for, in my Southern Softies team,
Lanzini.
I went for Lanzini. Mind you, Krul made a great save from him with the header, didn't he?
Yeah. Point blank. That was. I mean, it was one of those where everyone jumped up and were like, you know what? Just give credit to the keeper there.
Yeah, great save. We discussed this in depth a little more on Tottenham tomorrow. I think the answer is probably Anderson.
In much the same way that when you encourage looking at City players, you say just get the best one. Don't try and.
I think just
Go for a
back
cheaper one.
on the left, it feels right.
Yeah, he played much better. He's a baller when he wants to be. So
when he wants to be.
When he wants to be.
No more cues.
No, well, there are plenty of questions that we've already answered. So I think we're pretty.
We still
much
don't
there.
know if that Senegal playing fixtures is a real thing.
Yeah, that's around it. If
It can't be right. It'd
if
be all
Ricky
over the
Saunders
news.
has wound us up with that one and got us going, then great. But I'd be very surprised, mate.
Can't see that.
Yeah, me too.
No.
They're not going to let him go for 4 game weeks, and it wouldn't. It was. I think he said game weeks 6, 8,
Like
and 9.
soon,
I think.
yeah.
Yeah, it's not something. I feel like we'd know about it.
There is a fixture that appears on the internet. I don't know if it's the full team or if it's a wind up or what it is.
Well, let's see. We'll find out.
The
soon
international
enough.
calendar is set for certain times. That's why it doesn't get moved around. It's to avoid all these problems. Unless you have players from fucking Asia, it's still an issue.
Yep.
But otherwise, you're all right now, generally.
Tell everybody what's happening the rest of the week, James. What else have we got coming out?
Tottenham tomorrow.
Correct.
Wednesday, Sky.
Yes.
We have a little bit of a look at our Sky teams and mistakes that we've made early in this season. And we'll be doing a feature podcast of at least an hour next week during the overhaul next Wednesday. Thursday, Clash of the Correspondents with no Premier League fixtures this weekend. We're bringing Neil at FPL Canal on, look at some of the numbers from the opening 4 game weeks. And on Friday, all the people who love FPL are going to hate this. Shame. We do enough FPL podcasts.
Yep.
We will be releasing a podcast late on Friday evening on Bury and what's happened there, which is awful.
Yes. The owner currently thinks that it's only a 1-year ban out of the Football League. But he's seems a bit bonkers, that guy.
Yeah, save it.
Hmm.
There's
What-
a lot I've got to say.
We did have a couple of questions on Twitter asking us to talk about the racism issue as well, because we did put it up in the poll as one of the ones to talk about. I just feel like everybody's been listening for an hour and a half, and we don't have the time to get into it because it's a massive problem and a massive discussion point. So at some point, maybe over the international break, if we have got the time, maybe we can record something next
They're
week.
going to go mad. They think we're an FPL podcast. Don't upset anyone.
Oh, yeah. Well, if that's your point of view, then switch off. But I would like to. Yeah, it's something to think about and talk about, especially with Lukaku now coming out and more stuff going on at Inter Milan.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a real
I
concern.
put the whole racism thing in the poll yesterday before obviously that happened with
Lukaku.
that's extremes. Some of the stuff that's getting put about on Twitter, which is obviously horrendous, it's coming from people who've got, like, generally, in most cases, coming from people who've got no follower numbers, don't give a fuck if their Twitter account gets shut down and then just start up again. And that's the problem. It's because of pricks like this that one day we might all have to give driving license details or something like that if we want to use social media. So, yeah, it's a big issue because these guys need fucking, for want of a better term, want fucking locking up. That in Italy, I mean, Italy is one of those countries that really does have a massive issue. I'm sure Calgary, where Lukaku got the abuse last night, was where Moise Kean had it really bad at Juventus last season as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, one of the Twitter questions was saying they've been caught 3 times in the last 12 months or something.
Well,
stupid like
then, like, the thing is, some people have been saying, we're going to do this briefly, aren't we? Like, you can't, if some geezer comes out and racially abuses, like, Kurt Zuma, and he's a so-called Chelsea fan, and he's got 9 fucking followers, and he's based in Mexico, which seems to be what I found digging into it. Like, you can't come down on the football club. It's not their fault. You can in the instance where the geezer behind the goal was giving Sterling the stuff last season. And in the case of, I mean, Chelsea is a club that has a minority of fucking dickhead idiot supporters who constantly go away from home and sing anti-Semitic songs and the like. They're not alone. There are other clubs. I've heard shit at Spurs. We've all got fucking dickhead supporters. But that, say, like with Calgary, like, how long are you going to let that go on? But there are certain countries, is like, say when the England boys all got the abuse in Montenegro.
Yeah.
And what was it? Even the Prime Minister was like, nah, it didn't happen.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it fucking did, mate. What's wrong with you? It's not acceptable. It's difficult to know how it gets managed, but the severity of punishment has got to be more, and it doesn't help the people that govern the game. So I think it was like Spurs got fined more for coming out late for a second half of a Champions League game than Montenegro got fined for racism because it's easier for Spurs to afford it than...
is crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, maybe we'll talk about it. It's just a bigger issue, isn't it, really? It's like so many other questions. You ask one question, so many other questions come out of it.
That with Calgary, the way to deal with that now, it's not, are we going to close your stadium for a game? Because a lot of these and kind of that ultra idea is don't give a shit. It's quite simple. If you do that again, you are relegated. Done, finished.
I think severe punishments are... okay, but does it solve the problem? Does it solve the problem? You have to ask a couple of questions in and around that, right? So does politics have a place in sport? So, you know, with the American football players taking the knee against Donald Trump and the national anthem, they're like, look, you're just an American football player, shut up and play football or dribble or basketball or whatever. Politics has no place in sport. I disagree. At the end of the day, these people are role models. They're looked up to as role models by kids, and they can make a real big difference in so many ways, right? You see some amazing stories in sport. So I think there is a space for using sport for spreading a good message. But these guys are not, it sounds stupid to say, they're not racist. They're using that racism as an outlet of anger.
A lot of people are uneducated as well,
exactly.
right?
So relegating the football club is kind of not really solving the problem. Why do people, ask the question, why do people think it's right to go to a football match and abuse people? Because they can get away with it.
There's abuse and there's levels, right?
Yeah.
You know, someone comes to take a throw in, you can give him the wanker sign and tell him to fuck off. There's levels, right?
Yeah.
Don't bring like culture, religion, all that kind of thing into it, right?
Yeah, it's difficult, but and education is the solution. But how hard is it to educate like 50 million football fans around the world, or what have you?
Nearly impossible. But if you take that, so what would you say? Take Calgary as a rare case here. What should happen to them now?
I don't have the answer to that. I don't.
But it will just carry on, wouldn't it?
Yeah. What I feel, I suppose,
That's like
the
unacceptable.
optimist in
It's
me,
2019, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not going to change.
the optimist in me, who wants to see the best in people, is like, let's try and educate these people to behave better and to understand why what they're doing is wrong. Obviously, that's like, it is really difficult. The sledgehammer approach is let's just kick them out, and then what? What are they going to do then? Well, they'll only come back more angry. It's a sign of anger and frustration and that kind of thing. They'll only come back more angry. So I don't know is the answer to it. But long term, look, I think a united front from players, clubs, supporters to drown it out, like 90% of fans, 99% of fans drowning out the 1% is what it needs. We've had that problems. We've had those problems at West Ham.
In stadiums now,
Yeah.
like 99% of that is not an issue, because like if people hear it now,
Yeah.
they will go, well, that's unacceptable. So most people will, if you heard, and I've never heard it in a football ground, but if you heard Black something, for example, I'd like to think that most people, who said that, that's how I'd feel if I heard that around me. And I've genuinely, in 20 years, I've never heard that in a football stadium. I have heard groups of away fans sing the sort of songs that are completely unacceptable. But I think even like from that perspective now, the singing, like we've had that even from like yourselves and Chelsea fans in the last couple of years, not so much Gooners actually, singing about say like Sun, and when we had Mido before and stuff like that. But actually it's stopping. It's beginning to, people are starting to, okay, right, you know, there's bigger things here than the rivalry. That's not acceptable. And Spurs ain't angels and Gooners ain't angels and all that. I'm just highlighting an incident from what I've learned of. I mean, have you ever gone to West Ham and had serious issues or any question or?
Never. But I've had it the other way. In this is back at Upton Park, so 2005, 6, 7, when I used to go with my brother. More curiosity. You'd meet some old boys that would be like, "How comes you support West Ham?" Then like a couple of Indian lads from North London. So it was
it's a little bit racist, isn't it?
Maybe, but it was more genuine curiosity. They weren't trying to be racist. It was more just interested in having a conversation about it. So I've seen that before. I've seen some dodgy stuff. People shout and abuse in the pubs when they're a bit pissed up, but not like week in, week out religiously. I would say that the crowd at the London Stadium is way more diverse than it is.
It will be.
Way more diverse than it is. And it's a real mixed bag now.
In that sort of arena, it's going to get picked out more now, right? So those who have been West Ham fans and been down that route probably can't do it now. Not at that ground anyway.
No.
And it'd be the same for Spurs now. There might have been chance in the Park Lane you'd have got away with. You're not going to get away with it in a new ground now.
No.
So
there we go. We had a quick chat about it, but maybe we'll look at it in more detail. Yeah, I feel like I need to do more research and understand what's going on.
There aren't answers, unfortunately.
No. It's like short term or long term. I feel like long term education is the solution. Short term, sure, kicking clubs out, but I don't think that necessarily is eventually going to help.
I think in that case, like Calgary, like there's grounds for saying enough. Like
3 incidents, potentially 3 or 4.
Yeah, they'll get another fine of 30 grand. They'll have to shut like a block of the stand for a week. No, it's got to be more severe. You got to say, look, okay, this is where we're at. 3 times now. You got to say, and it's going around the world. That's the representation. If I said to anybody now, what do you know about Calgary? Won't know that it's a beautiful place in Sardinia, isn't it?
No.
You go, oh yeah, racist.
Yeah.
That's going around the world.
Yeah,
That's got to change.
You're right.
So, yeah, I'd say, yeah, fuck it, kick them out if it happens again.
Yep. There we go.
That's got to come from the lawmaking. Don't help the top guys, UEFA, FIFA and all that, don't give a fuck.
No, it's a money-making machine.
Of course it is,
football for them. There we go. Cool. We'll be back. Like James said, he's run down all of the games, so it leaves me just to say I hope you had a good
Leaves me
game
just to
week
say, if you didn't want to hear a
4.
chat about racism, you should have switched off 15 fucking minutes ago.
Exactly. Other than that, we got plenty of content through the international break coming at you. Ciao for now.
Cue music, man, child. Love you all.
Of course.
The Fantasy Football Show.